Hi, I'm back down by the creek, the Yellow Breeches Creek near my house on the common land that our neighborhood has. And I'm right along the creek side here. You can see this low area here where nothing's built. I don't know if it's what's in the floodplain. I know the houses are outside of the 500-year floodplain, so there's no problem there. The other issue that comes up in building is wetlands. Now, this doesn't have to be by a creek to be a wetland, but there is actually an area back here, and I'll walk over there in a bit. I'm not exactly sure where it's delineated. You see, it's all grass. There's no water plants or anything growing there. There's a wetland there. It's a designated wetland. So wetland, if you're an engineer, a wetland is bad, right? Because you can't build on it. Or you have to pay money for wetland mitigation, which means you're really buying a wetland somewhere else or paying for a wetland somewhere else, and then you can build up on your wetland. I spent a lot of time in Belize over the years, and I had a mayor of a city there, a good friend of mine, show me the new development area of the town of Dangriga, and it was literally underwater. So I guess they don't have the restrictions there. You just bring in sand and you build it up. But yeah, having a wetland on your property is bad because you can't build on it. But there are some things you can do. For example, we are eligible for some grants to develop this wetland. Not develop as in build on it, but I mean make it back to an actual wetland. And so I think we're going to do that. But in this class, I just want to spend really just a few minutes talking about wetlands and wetland delineation. I have a short fill-in-the-blank thing for you to do on the aspects of wetland. I'll go back to the office and walk through that real quickly and also show you a map of this area. So let's walk over there and see if we can see anything, which we may not be able to. There's a couple of fly fishermen that just came out of the creek. They were fishing down here. Kind of an overcast, buggy day today. But I'm down in approximately the area where the wetlands are. You can see this isn't watered here, so the greener areas is where it stays wetter. But I don't really see any strong indications of where the wetland is. But the wetlands are identified and delineated by three factors or three characteristics. One is the hydrology, so how much is it flooded or underwater. The other is the soils. Are they hydric soils, the soils that are wet pretty much all the time? And the third is vegetation. So when they do a wetland delineation, they look closely at the vegetation, and then they do a count of how many, I don't know if they do square feet or whatever, of the areas covered by the vegetation that grows in wet areas. We've gone through a very dry period, but you can see along this little gully that runs down here, the soil is still wet here. And you can see also, as it goes down here, it's all mowed and taken out. You can see the pretty severe erosion as it cuts down to the creek there. Across here, this pretty wet area over there, that may be off our neighborhood's property. I'm not sure, but I think we're in the wetland area right along here where you see the darker green. So I'm going to head back to the office and I'll show you the map of our wetland area.
This is a map of our neighborhood sent to me by Kristen Hoke of the Chesapeake Bay Foundation. And because we are in the Chesapeake Bay watershed, although a couple hundred miles from the Chesapeake Bay, we are eligible for some different programs. So this shows, this is my house here, by the way. This shows the common property that we own as a neighborhood association. There's a path down to it here. And these shades, the yellow is a potential buffer area. So this skin is all just mowed grass, but we could maybe get some funding to build buffers in that area. So plant some vegetation, some trees and things like that. And then the blue is the potential restorable wetland. So now it just looks like grass to me, but we could try to restore it to a wetland, including planting some water plants and that kind of thing. And here it is on Google Earth. If I zoom in here, you can see that this is the area here where I believe the restorable wetland area is. Maybe you could make it out from that, I don't know. And then if we rotate around, we can see, now this area here is not part of our neighborhood, and this area here is not part of our neighborhood. There is a, I believe this is the little creek kind of thing I showed you from the video, and there's another one on the other side here, over here, the other side of our area there. By the way, this is my house there, where I am now. I think that's why it knows my location. And this is my backyard. This is over 100 feet of elevation change from down here to up here. So hopefully we can do something with this land here and get it a little more natural. The neighbors are open to it. I think we could try to keep it looking nice and not just overgrown. That's what the Chesapeake Bay Foundation people tell me anyway. The issue and this is not the stream restoration section, but if we do stream restoration, I don't think anybody really wants to grant a access road through their property to get down there. By the way, those fly fishermen I met said they called this, what do they call it now? The curve. And they say, so it curves around here. They say they've been fly fishing there for over 30 years. And it's a good spot there. That was before any of these houses were built. So I'll end this by summarizing how we delineate a wetland. We look at three things. One is the hydrology, that is the degree of flooding or soil saturation. Two is the soils. We look for hydric soils that show that they've been saturated for a long time and in a wetland. And the third one is the vegetation, and we look specifically for hydrophytes or water-loving plants, and they actually have an index where they go through and look at how much of the land is covered by those hydric plants. And if the index is high enough, they say it's a wetland, and they identify it. I actually went down a little rabbit trail looking at people who their properties, they've had wetlands identified on their properties, and they showed where whoever does the wetland delineation put flags on it and said, okay, you can't build on this, or again, you can do some mitigation and pay for a wetland somewhere else and then build up that area and build on your property. So that's the end of our little section on wetland delineation.